Thank you for choosing our story. If you enjoy this one, don't forget to check out other stories on our channel. From princes and princesses to fairies and detective tales, each story is packed with beautiful lessons about friendship, family, and morals. Now, let's dive into today's exciting story, The Princess and the Woodcutter. Children who are not guided to differentiate between right and wrong may struggle to develop good habits. Personal growth comes from accepting mistakes, learning from them, and facing challenges with resilience. Kindness, empathy, and the courage to apologize foster strong friendships and a fulfilling life. Written by Mukhtar, this story is a treasure trove of valuable lessons. All rights reserved. The Princess and the Woodcutter. Princess Sultana was born after much prayer and hope following the marriage of King and the Queen. Not only were the King and Queen overjoyed at her birth, but the entire kingdom shared their happiness. On the day of her birth, celebrations spread throughout the land. The King could hardly believe he was the father of such a beautiful daughter. He would often visit the Queen and marvel at the little princess, her presence filling his heart with joy. The Queen, noticing his delight, suggested he hold the princess, but the King hesitated, saying, "She's so tiny. I'm afraid I might drop her." Princess Sultana was extraordinarily beautiful. Her large, doe-like eyes shimmered like gemstones, and her golden hair gleamed in the light. When she cried, it was as if the melody of bells resonated all around. No one could describe her laughter yet, because babies of her age only smiled. The King's attention to the court affairs began to wane as his thoughts revolved around Princess Sultana. She was raised in extreme luxury. Her toys were imported from across the seas, and skilled artisans crafted her dresses from the finest silk spun by silkworms. Her shoes were made from rare bird skins instead of animal hides, making them feather-light. Had diapers been invented back then, the Queen would have surely stocked the most expensive ones. For her, special maidservants were appointed for the princess's care, ensuring she was never alone. At night, the Queen would sleep on one end of the bed, the King on the other, with Princess Sultana nestled between them, often sprawling across both of them in deep slumber. However, such pampering soon began to spoil the princess. She became rude and disobedient, often throwing away food she disliked and yelling at the Queen. While she refrained from shouting at her father, she wasn't above pinching him if she disagreed with him. Her behavior was not due to any lack of love, but was a result of indulgence. The King and Queen dismissed her tantrums as childhood whims, reasoning that she was their only child, born after many years of longing. However, the King was deeply embarrassed when, on her 16th birthday, the princess lost her temper and threw her birthday cake to the ground. Ministers, advisors, and noblemen attending the celebration with their wives were left in stunned silence. The King, humiliated, left the gathering, and even the Queen was rendered speechless. When she scolded the princess, the latter began shouting at her mother and angrily knocked glasses of drinks off the table before storming to her room. The incident became the talk of the town. People lamented how such a noble and benevolent king had a daughter who was temperamental, ill-mannered, and unkind. "May God never give anyone a daughter like her," they said. The king, hearing such remarks, became deeply sorrowful. He realized that their overindulgence had ruined her character. Though the fault lay with the king and queen, it was too late to undo the damage. After the birthday incident, the king and queen began to distance themselves from Princess Sultana. Yet, she was unbothered, as she had never acknowledged her own mistakes or made efforts to change. The king grew quiet and withdrawn, a natural reaction for any parent facing such disappointment. Noticing the king's melancholy, his wise and loyal minister approached him one day. "Your Majesty, things won't improve on their own. We must take action. I suggest you consider marrying the princess. Marriage may bring about a change in her." The king sighed and replied, "Who would marry an outspoken and ill-mannered girl like her? No young man would accept her as his bride." The minister pondered the matter deeply before responding, "Your Majesty, if you follow my advice, I'm confident everything will be resolved." The king, desperate for a solution, agreed, saying, "We will do whatever you suggest." The minister advised the king to adopt a sterner approach with the princess, emphasizing discipline and respect. The king, though initially hesitant, promised to act accordingly. That evening, when the king returned to the palace, the princess approached him with a cheerful demeanor, holding his hand affectionately. "Father, please don't stay angry with me," she pleaded. The king, pulling his hand away, sternly replied, "Princess, you must remember the decorum of the palace. While I am your father, I am also the sovereign of this realm, and respect is paramount." Stunned by his tone, the princess stood speechless, though anger simmered within her. She complained to the queen, who, already weary of her antics, curtly replied, "You're old enough to learn manners now." The princess, enraged, stomped away in frustration. Later that night, the king confided in the queen, "I believe it's time to arrange the princess's marriage." The queen, despondent, responded, "Who will marry her? Her bad temper is known far and wide." The king's heart ached at her words, and tears welled in his eyes. Yet, he remained resolute. A few days later, on the king's orders, the queen informed the princess that her marriage had been arranged. Furious, the princess shouted, "Fine. Go ahead with the marriage. I don't wish to stay here any longer." The wedding was held with utmost simplicity. There were no drums, no fireworks, and no grand celebrations. The princess, consumed by anger, didn't even bother to ask who her groom was or glance at him during the ceremony. At the time of her departure, she didn't embrace the king or queen, not out of fear of ruining her makeup, but because she was still deeply resentful. As the bridal carriage made its way to her new home, the princess finally sneaked a glance at her husband. He was a handsome young man, but his face bore an air of indifference. His lack of joy unsettled her. When the carriage halted, the groom stepped out and waited for the princess to follow. When she didn't, he sternly said, "Princess, step down. There are no maids here to assist you. I'm just a woodcutter. I used to manage everything on my own, and now you will help me. I've endured great hardships in life, but now I expect some peace." The princess was stunned. Her marriage was to a woodcutter. Overwhelmed by sorrow and shame, tears welled in her eyes. Seeing her cry, the woodcutter softened. "I'm glad to see tears in your eyes upon hearing my hardships. Good wives are like this. Don't misunderstand," the princess replied as she stepped down from the carriage. "I cried because I was married to a woodcutter. I never expected this from my father." The woodcutter burst out laughing. "Did you think a spoiled girl like you would marry a prince? You're calling me spoiled to my face." The princess screamed. "I'm saying it to your face. Others say it behind your back. The king's order compelled me to marry you. Otherwise, I'd never have agreed to marry someone like you. The king has offloaded his problem onto me, and now I'll have to deal with it for the rest of my life." The princess began crying loudly upon hearing such insulting remarks. Though the woodcutter was alarmed by her tears, he didn't show it and said, "If you cry too much, the forest animals might get curious and come near." His threat worked, and the princess stopped crying. He led her into the house, which was large with a spacious courtyard, but sparsely furnished. The princess pouted and sat in a corner. The woodcutter went into the kitchen to arrange for food. The princess was hungry, so she ate quietly. She remained silent during the meal but said afterward, "I accept my fate, but my father and mother didn't treat me fairly." The woodcutter replied bitterly, "You remember their unfairness, but have you forgotten what you did to them? You took advantage of their love for you. Being their only child, they pampered you, fulfilled your every desire, and you repaid them by becoming stubborn and ill-mannered. Stubbornness is endearing in small children, but in someone your age, it's intolerable. If I had my way, I'd put spoiled girls like you in front of a raging bull to teach them a lesson." Hearing this, the princess cried again. "You're humiliating me," she sobbed. "Now that you're my wife, I'm reminding you of your faults so you can change, and we can live a happy life together. Do you remember how rude you were on your birthday?" he asked. The princess was startled. "How do you know?" "Everyone in the kingdom knows. That day, 2 women were arguing in our neighborhood, and one cursed the other, saying, 'May your child be as rude as the princess.'" Hearing this, the princess's face turned red with shame. The woodcutter's words made her realize how poorly she had treated her parents, who had loved her so much. Reflecting on this, tears began to flow from her eyes, and she started sobbing uncontrollably. The woodcutter said, "Wake me up early tomorrow. Now that we're 2, I'll have to chop more wood to earn enough money for our expenses. Also, there are plenty of chickens in the yard. Collect their eggs and sell them to the neighbors who come to buy them." The room was filled with 2 sounds: the woodcutter's voice and the princess's sobbing. She missed her parents deeply. The next morning, the woodcutter was surprised to find breakfast ready with eggs and parathas. "Did you make this?" he asked in amazement. "No, I asked a boy from the neighborhood to fetch it from the bakery. I don't know how to cook," she said, her face turning red with embarrassment. She worried about what her husband would think of her inability to cook at her age. When the woodcutter returned home that evening, he was even more surprised. The princess, with a scarf tied around her waist, was sweeping the courtyard while chickens roamed around her. Though the door was open, the chickens didn't run outside, but stayed near her. "Look what I brought for you," the woodcutter said. She quickly came to him, looking like a changed person. Her face no longer showed the harshness and anger it had the previous day. The woodcutter placed a handful of bright red berries in her hands. "I picked these from the jungle for you." She happily took them and began eating. "These are delicious," she said. Her voice sounded so sweet to the woodcutter, like the sound of a musical instrument. The previous day, her voice had been so unpleasant that he had wanted to block his ears. "I've asked the same boy to fetch our meal again. I give him a small reward, and he quickly runs errands for me," she explained. After dinner, the woodcutter said, "Princess, I'm happy to see how much you've changed." She replied, "Your words made me realize how ill-mannered and rude I was. I hurt my parents deeply and am very ashamed. I want to meet them and ask for their forgiveness. Will you take me to them?" The woodcutter hesitated. "Never. If you go there, you'll stay there. What will I do? Who will feed the chickens and clean the house?" Blushing, the princess said, "I'll return after meeting them. This is my real home now." Hearing this, the woodcutter felt like shouting with joy but controlled himself and calmly said, "Fine, we'll go to the palace tomorrow. But if I don't go to the jungle to chop wood, we won't have any money. Don't worry about that. I have plenty of gold coins in my room at the palace. I'll bring them along," she replied. The next day, they reached the palace. The queen quickly embraced the princess, crying. The king was also informed and arrived shortly after. Seeing him, the princess wept and hugged him. "Father, please forgive me. I now realize how much I hurt you and mother with my behavior. I promise I'll never act like that again." The king's eyes filled with tears as he embraced her. Children make mistakes, and it's the duty of elders to forgive them. We have no complaints against you. we're just happy that you've realized your mistakes." He then turned to the woodcutter. "Prince Baba, we are grateful to you for guiding the princess onto the right path." The woodcutter, who was actually a prince, respectfully bowed to the king and said, "It's my good fortune to have a wife like the princess." The princess listened to their conversation in astonishment while the queen stood smiling. Sensing her confusion, the king said, "Daughter, it was our minister's idea to disguise Prince Baba as a woodcutter and marry him to you. Prince Baba is a wise young man, and his words helped you realize your mistakes. We're very pleased." The princess's transformation brought joy and celebration everywhere. She even apologized to the royal servants and maids whom she had not treated well in the past. She distributed gold coins among them, making them happy too. After dinner, the princess said to Prince Baba, "Let me get ready and then we'll leave." The queen, surprised, asked, "Daughter, where are you planning to go?" Blushing, the princess replied, "To our home, where our chickens are, and to the neighborhood boy who runs errands for me like a little brother." Hearing this, the king and queen burst into laughter. It had been a long time since the palace echoed with their laughter. However, the king didn't send them back there. Instead, he had the chickens brought to the palace so that the princess would be happy. As for the boy who used to buy things from the market for the princess, she sent him many gifts. After spending a few more days in the palace, Prince Baba took Princess Sultana to his own kingdom, and the two lived happily ever after.